Good afternoon everyone. Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. This is Takkar Rapid Series. In this lecture series, we are discussing the 10 MCQs based on yesterday's current affairs. In the yesterday's lecture, the comment that we have received in the yesterday's 10 MCQ video. So I want to have some clarification regarding this. So there was this 10th question here in yesterday's MCQ file that was related to finance bill, and let me assure that this question is correct. Okay, related to finance bill. Let me have the clarification. Many times students are confused about this finance bill. Finance bill is basically different than financial bill that is mentioned in the constitution, article 117 of the constitution. Financial bill और finance bill में difference है. Finance bill generally whatever the tax and non-tax proposals are there, no, in the budget. So generally those are, we can say, included in the finance bill, or that bill is called as finance bill, and accordingly the provisions of article 110, the tax and non-tax proposals that are there part of article 1, they are applied to this bill, and that's why speaker certifies this particular bill as money bill. That's why this statement is correct. Finance bill is a money bill. That's why the statement is correct. Remember this. And then amendments cannot be introduced with respect to finance bill. Abhi recently news यही तो था कि basically the finance bill has been passed by Lok Sabha with the amendments that some of the amendments suggested by the Rajya Sabha. ऐसा ही था ना news. तो how we can say that it is incorrect? So or correct we can say amendment cannot be introduced. ये तो गलत है ना. It can be introduced. Rather we can say that appropriation bill में नहीं introduce कर सकते. So we can say that it is incorrect and answer is one only. ठीक है, कुछ students को confusion है यहाँ पर. Let's we can say that we have the clarification regarding this. Okay, so first this one. Then along with that we should know, if suppose the purely provisions are from the article 110 in that bill, clearly it is a money bill. If suppose the provisions in the bill relate, some of the provisions relate to 110 and some of the provisions are outside 110, then we can say it is financial bill type 1. And if suppose all the provisions are financial provisions but they are outside the provisions of 110, those mentioned in 110, so we can say that that is financial bill type 2. ठीक है, तो ये बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, आपको पता होना चाहिए. एंड फाइनेंस बिल इज डिफरेंट देन द फाइनेंशियल बिल. ओके, सो रिमेंबर दिस पार्ट. फाइन, लेट्स कम बैक टू द टुडेज सेशन. Yes, so we have given the title to the, we can say, today's lecture, who issues national list of essential medicines, and on the basis of this we can say that the question have been framed related to national essential, we can say national list of essential medicine, NLEM. Let's try to solve this question. Okay, so we have to identify the correct statement. Let me give you some time. Those who are online live, those who are watching, try to attempt the question simultaneously. Give your answer in the comment box, live chat. Okay, so this national list of essential medicine is given out by, we can say that, Ministry of Health and Family Affairs. ठीक है, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, so remember this very specific information is there. Now essential medicines, as the name suggests, essential medicine prices should not be very high, because the poor people will not be we can say that it is not affordable to the poor people, and that's why the government regulates the prices under which particular law, the legal provision, Essential Commodities Act. Essential Commodities Act. Okay, so this is the basic information. Now annual hike in essential medicine is announced by NPPA. Okay, this is correct statement. This National Pharma Pricing Authority, this NPPA is responsible for announcing the annual hike. ठीक है, remember pharma industry is different and health sector, which is, we can say the pharma industry is one of the part of health sector, तो that is different aspect and ये pharma से related है, pharma industry से related authority. So yes, this is correct statement. Second, annual hikes in the prices of drug listed in NLEM are based on consumer price index. This is not correct, right? We are aware about this information. It is based on wholesale price index. यही एक tricky aspect है यहाँ पर आपको eliminate करने के लिए. And look at the options. दो को eliminate करिए, दो को eliminate करिए, दो को eliminate करिए. We have to identify the correct statement and we get the answer here. Third statement is factual information and if suppose you are not aware about this, still you will get the answer. इस टेक्निक्स को यूज करना है हमें एग्जाम में, ठीक है. So yes, still we can say that with respect to non-scheduled medicine, manufacturers are allowed to increase maximum retail price by 10% annually. And about the scheduled medicines, which are essential medicines, the prices of those scheduled medicines is governed by the government itself and from time to time they increase, but 10% नहीं, थोड़ा सा कम होता है उससे, ठीक है. Because overall the inflation is there, of course, so accordingly the government has to increase the prices, but they are administered. But यहाँ पर जो है private companies नॉन इसेंशियल या फिर जो शेड्यूल्ड मेडिसिन होता है उसमें ये 10% एनुअल उनको इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं. Now recently many of the private pharma companies, they were arguing that already the inflation is very high, WPI was consistently more than 10% and that's why this 10% annual hike is problematic. उनको profits नहीं हो रहा है, right? So because of that they are arguing कि ये बढ़ाना चाहिए. Fine. What should be the answer here then? 1 and 3 only. C is the correct answer. नहीं, ठीक है, वो incorrect है फिर, ठीक है. So if suppose student is writing no, ठीक है. So इसका आंसर क्या है? 1 and 3 only. Remember, not 2 and 3. ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. Now, fine. Moving on. Consider the following. The description is mentioned here. And which of the following borders of Israel and the neighboring country is or are uncontested borders? Okay, so uncontested and contested borders of Israel. Recently Israel was in news because of the protests that are going on in the country. The Prime Minister of Israel has come up with certain judicial reforms, proposed judicial reforms, and that's why there are let's say the protests going on there. Let's read. Modern borders of Israel exist as a result of both past wars and the diplomatic agreements between the state of Israel and its neighbors as well as colonial powers. Only 2 of the Israel's 5 total land borders are internationally recognized and uncontested. Okay, so let's identify the uncontested borders of Israel. So remember the trick here. The southern boundaries, ठीक है, with the southern states like Egypt is there, और इस साइड में जो है कौन सा है? Jordan. With these 2 countries, Israel is having peaceful and non-contested, uncontested border. But talking about the northern side, Lebanon and Syria, this is problematic. Okay, so 1 and 3 is correct here. What should be the answer? B should be the answer. नहीं, वो क्वेश्चन अलग है ना. We are discussing different question. ठीक है, नया PDF देखो तुम, ये नहीं है वो PDF. ओके हाँ, दूसरा वो अगर अपलोड हुआ है तो दूसरा अपलोड करो जो रिसेंट वाला है मोस्ट, ठीक है. ओके, सो यस, बी इज द करेक्ट आंसर हियर. मूविंग ऑन टू नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. लुक एट द मैप हियर. वन मोर पॉइंट दैट लेट मी हाईलाइट. ऑलमोस्ट 1 or 2 years, after every 2 years UPSC asks question, mapping question related to this area, West Asia. Okay, so look at the map, or we can say that borders of Israel. So Israel is having border with Lebanon here, then Syria here, then Jordan, even Palestine is there separately. ये जो है contested border है Palestine का. You need to remember here that a small opening is there for the Jordan, Gulf of Aqaba. This is, many times students say that Jordan is landlocked country. It is Gulf of Aqaba. Remember. Okay. तो ये कहाँ पे ओपन हो रहा है? ये रेड सी पे ओपन होता है, गल्फ ऑफ अकाबा. एंड ऑन दिस साइड देयर इज इजिप्ट. सो दीज आर ऑल बॉर्डर्स ऑफ इजराइल एंड दिस पर्टिकुलर रीजन इज कॉल्ड एज लेवेंट रीजन. दिस ईयर्स प्रीलिम्स क्वेश्चन, लेवेंट रीजन, the eastern margins of Mediterranean Sea. This is Mediterranean Sea. The eastern margins of Mediterranean Sea, they are called as Levant region, or simply remember West Asia. Those countries having border with Mediterranean region. ठीक है? Okay, fine. Moving on. Yes. So look at this question again. The description based, but the question is talking about the incorrectly matched pairs. And we have to identify the countries and reasons for the protests. So recently several protests in different parts of the world. Israel is there, France में जो है pension से related reforms से related काफ़ी ज़्यादा अभी protest चल रहा है. And yes, in Sri Lanka is also there, Bangladesh also there. Now let's identify the reasons here. Sri Lanka, recently there were cancellations of annual we can say general elections, and because of that there were several protests, severe protests. In Bangladesh recently there were severe protests related to rising commodity cost and inflation. Now France का जो है वो correctly match है, pension reform strike, we are aware about this. So incorrectly matched pairs बोला है. So incorrectly matched pairs में 2 नहीं आएगा. Okay, अगर 2 आ रहा है तो वो गलत आंसर है ना, तो ये हटाइए, यहाँ से ये हटाइए. 1 and 3 only and 3 only आता है. So 1 as well as 3 are incorrectly matched, and that's why answer is C here. That's why answer is C here. Yes, online students, try to attempt the questions simultaneously. Now moving on to next question. OneWeb India, one mission. Recently we have seen this news, and even we covered one question related to this. Okay, so related to launch vehicle Mach 3, LVM 3, and along with that OneWeb India, let's say the second successful mission of NSIL, New Space India Limited, and it has launched 36 such small satellites in the low Earth orbit with the help of this LVM-3, the heavy we can say launch rocket. It is the global communication network to foster connectivity. This OneWeb company is basically located in UK. It is telecommunication let's say company, and from India Bharti, or the Airtel company, we know that Bharti Private Limited, this particular company is having highest stake there, high investment in OneWeb. Now this is global communication network, this is correct, and then it uses constellation of low Earth orbit satellite, this is also correct. At present 36 in the past, and at present 36 total. 72 such satellites have been launched by ISRO. Then it is commercial mission launched by ISRO through small satellite launch vehicle. No, with the help of LVM, that is launch vehicle Mach 3, it is used to let's say launch the satellites in the geostationary orbits. ये जो है हम बोलते हैं इसको workhorse, or simply we can say that the larger load can be sent to the lower Earth orbit also with the help of LVM. Small satellite वाला नहीं है. Okay, so it is incorrect statement, and that's why answer should be A here. Answer should be A, right? Okay, now moving on. The Central Pollution Control Board has been constituted under provisions of which of the following acts? Yes, it is statutory body, CPSB, as well as state pollution control boards. Now many times students get confused that CPCB ज़्यादातर air pollution या इसकी वजह से news में होता है, तो student may be confused, और environment protection को deal करता है. So yes, you may get confused here, but you should be knowing that the exact information, the provisions under Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. Under the provisions of this, CPCB and SPCBs are formed. Although the Air Pollution Act 1981 also provides the powers to the CPCB. So answer यहाँ पर क्या है? Provisions of Water Act 1974. Okay, so C is the correct answer here. Right. ये देख सकते हैं अभी stretches of Tunga river, Bhadra river and Tungabhadra river highly polluted, and accordingly to deal with the pollution, CPCB is going to work out some plan for these rivers. इसलिए ये न्यूज़ में था. Now applied question, economic recession, the term is continuously in news. We are let's say many times economists are saying that 2023 world will see the recessionary trends, तो इसलिए applied question जरूर बनता है. What should be the answer here? क्या होना चाहिए आंसर इसका? Yes. So which of the following steps are most likely to be taken during economic recession? देखो economic recession में क्या है? Lower economic activities are being carried out, or we can say that there is low investment rate, private investment, and because of that the overall economic growth is declining. Recession. In such situation, either the government comes into the rescue of the economy and have more expenditure, increase in government expenditure, as we have seen during the pandemic. ठीक है, so during pandemic economic activities came down. Immediately after that the government came in and increased its expenditure, especially capital expenditure. Decrease in interest rate. Yes, decrease in interest rate will let's say promote the lending activities from the bank. The cheap loans are given, credit creation gets boost, and that because of that we can say that the economic activities are resumed, more private investment will happen. So we can say this is correct. Reduction in income tax. Yes, many times the government reduces the income tax to boost the let's say economic growth. How? Because the people will have more disposable income with them to spend, and this increases the aggregate demand in the economy. So this is correct statement. ठीक है. Restricting foreign investment. Now that is problematic. Rather the government should promote more foreign investment so that there is more boost to the economic growth. तो ये क्या है? Incorrect statement है. Or we can say that incorrect factor है, step है. So what should be the answer? 1, 2, 3 only. Such kind of questions UPSC is framing in the prelims examination. Remember this, very very important, and answer is C here. Now consider the following statements about depleted uranium. Why it is in news? Depleted uranium is going to be provided by some of the European countries like UK to the Ukraine. Now depleted uranium as such is not the problematic. Where do we get this? When there is, let's say, enrichment process of uranium. So in that process, this depleted uranium is the side product, byproduct of this process. It is not highly radioactive. We can say that it is not penetrating to the larger distances. It is not problematic, and it is not going to have the radioactive reaction or chain reaction. It is not having that capacity. Depleted uranium. But to some extent, if it is used in the arms and ammunition for the purpose, then it can have some kind of impact, although it is not falling under the definition of nuclear weapons. Remember this. Now it is obtained as a byproduct of process of extracting rare earth minerals. Not correct. It is the byproduct of enrichment of uranium process, and uranium is largely used in nuclear warheads as well as in nuclear reactors. Only the permanent members of UNSC possess depleted uranium munitions. This is not correct. UNSC तो होते ही है, बाकी भी है, जैसे हम बोल सकते हैं इंडिया के पास भी है, पाकिस्तान के पास भी है. So other countries, those having the nuclear power or nuclear reactors, तो उनके पास भी होगा ये. Depleted uranium munitions, munitions मतलब जो है warheads हम बोल सकते do not come under the definition of nuclear weapons. That is correct statement we can say. ठीक है, तो क्या है यहाँ पर correct statements? Only 3. That is C is the correct answer. That is C is the correct answer. Understood? So remember, very tricky question we can say, depleted uranium. ये देखिए क्यों न्यूज में है, UK to provide weapons containing depleted uranium to Ukraine. Now, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, and we have to identify the correct statement. Okay, this NCPCR is a statutory body. Then when we say statutory body, it is established under the provisions of certain law enacted by the Parliament. So यहाँ पर कौन सा law है? Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act 2005. Under the provisions of this, it has been established in 2007. Along with that, State Commission for Protection of Child Rights are also established under this law. Okay, so this statement is correct, no? Statutory body. It falls under the administrative control of Ministry of Women and Child Development. Child है यहाँ पर, protection of child है, तो one can use that logic, and that's why answer is both 1 and 2. Okay, both 1 and 2 is the answer. Now this particular body is having severe, let's say high level of powers for protection of children's rights, and along with that you should know, in the Indian Constitution of India, Article 24 of the Indian Constitution talks about prevention of atrocities against the children, and we can say that the child labor aspects are also there. Okay, so Article 23 specially talks about forced labor, child labor, and 24 talks about exploitation of children, protection of children's right, Article 24. ठीक है, along with that it is having suo motu powers. It can initiate actions, suo motu cognition of certain offences. Along with that it is having the powers of civil court. ठीक है, तो ये सारी चीजें आपको M लक्ष्मीकांत में भी मिलेगी. C is the correct answer. Fine. Then regarding the diabetes, now in diabetes what we have is the pancreas are not able to produce insulin. ठीक है, insulin is very important to break down the sugar in the body. अगर ये नहीं करेगा तो sugar amount body में बढ़ जाता है diabetes में, and that is very harmful. Okay, so let's understand the correct statement about type 1 and type 2 of diabetes. अभी काफी news में है. Now type 1 diabetes is mainly lifestyle related and develops over the period of time, and type 2 is genetic condition that often shows up early in the life. So type 1 and type 2, remember that the type 1 diabetes is basically the genetic condition that often shows up early in the life, generally children, adolescents, and type 2 is basically a lifestyle disease, or we can say that lifestyle related disease, and generally this type of diabetes, its symptoms are observed in the later life, 40s के बाद, क्योंकि ये लाइफस्टाइल है ना, तो बहुत दिनों तक आप कंटिन्यूसली एक तरीके का लाइफस्टाइल फॉलो कर रहे हैं, दैट इज हार्मफुल टू योर बॉडी, तो उस टाइम पे ये सिम्टम्स दिखते हैं. ओके, सो इट इज इनकरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट. Then type 1 diabetes is diagnosed in childhood and adolescence as the condition where the pancreas produces little or no insulin. ये type 1 है. This is correct statement, and that's why B is the correct answer. Basically in this situation, throughout their life they have to take the insulin injections. Externally they have to provide the insulin because internally pancreas are not producing this particular, we can say, हार्मोन, इंसुलिन. ठीक है, और प्रोटीन्स. नाउ मूविंग ऑन. Recently the Marburg virus disease outbreak occurred in which of the following? Okay, the Marburg virus, this particular virus disease, recently it was, the outbreak was in Tanzania. ठीक है, कहाँ पर था ये आउटब्रेक? टांजानिया में है. A is the correct answer. Look at this, Marburg virus disease outbreak kills 5 in Tanzania. What is this virus? Basically this Marburg virus is its origin has been observed from the bats, and this is endemic. This has been endemic to Africa, the tropical African region. ठीक है, तो वहाँ पे ये endemic है, along with that it is having hemorrhagic fear, मतलब इतना ज़्यादा fear हो सकता है जहाँ पे brain damage हो सकता है. That's why it is problematic. That's why it is problematic. ठीक है, थोड़ा और brightness कम करो. Okay, so hemorrhagic fever is basically very high level of fever where it is resulting into brain damage. तो वो न्यूज में है. Marburg Virus disease, remember, and Tanzania is the name of the country. Fine. So I hope that now your doubts are clear. It's good that you are watching these videos and you are raising certain doubts. It is also important that we improve on our side. When you raise the doubts, questions, you question the faculty. It is always, it should be the interactive process, right? तो इसी तरीके से आप क्वेश्चंस पूछते रहिए कमेंट बॉक्स में. विल ट्राई टू कम बैक टू यू विद इन 24 आवर्स और 48 आवर्स मैक्सिमम. ठीक है, फाइन. एनी क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड टू टुडेज क्वेश्चंस आज के? ओके, फाइन, लेट अस स्टॉप देन. ओके.